What's up, guys? Welcome back to Keeping Up with the X-Men. And today is X-Men. I believe this is X-Men Gold 18. And here we are. Awesome cover, by the way. Truly awesome cover. And a story on covers. Just a small story. Quick little thing before we get into it. I have a friend, and he does something that makes a lot of sense to me. He actually goes out, and every now and then, he'll go to the 50-cent bins, the dollar bins, whatever kind of book bins he can get to, and he doesn't actually look for books. He looks for covers. And when he finds one, he actually frames these and puts them up all over. And you know what? That really got me thinking that might be something to do in here. It might be cool to kind of line this room the best I can with different covers from different X-Men books. There's a lot of cheap ones out there that I could get, and there's plenty of spaces in here where they could go. But anyways, just a thought. So, we start here with this guy who's come to give an estimate on what it's going to take to fix the Xavier Mansion. Or Institute, rather. Now, while he's there, he keeps mispronouncing this girl's name. Her name, I believe, is Aquila. She tells him that this doesn't make any sense, that what he's asking for right now is 10 times the amount that it normally takes to fix the Xavier Institute. This is not exactly a new thing with fires and explosions and all kinds of stuff. And he says, well, yes, but I believe this mansion was once located in Westchester, correct? She's like, yes. And he's like, yeah, well, it's not anymore. You're sitting in New York Central Park, and it's going to cost a lot of money to keep you in this location and to rebuild this house. That's just the way it is. Sorry, that's business. And he keeps mispronouncing her name over and over and over again. So before she walks out, she mispronounces his name, and he corrects her, and she's like, yeah, see how that feels? Just kind of like to get the last word. Well, she goes into the medical area where Rachel is, and Rachel has got the marks back. We talked a little bit about it in a previous video, that the marks have come back, the marks that she had when she was a hound. I don't know if that's leading us to something, but they're back. She has those marks on her face. We go back to the planet, the Dartarus. I believe that it's like Dartyrus or something like that. Dartyrus. It's a planet. We're back in the negative zone anyhow, and Kologoth was originally going to release the X-Men so that he could get them off the planet, but Mr. Fuzzy decided that he wasn't going to have that. He teleported into a type of rock thing, then teleported again onto the ground, and he says that not having a soul might have saved his life here. And this is something that I haven't really talked about, but Nightcrawler evidently has no soul anymore. I can't remember exactly the circumstances that went into that, but I guess it makes it harder for him to die. I don't think he's like immortal, but I don't know. He specifically says that he's lucky he doesn't have a soul anymore, because that's what allowed him to live through that horrific experience. And it's quite the page, actually. It is quite the page. It looks really good. It's really crazy. It's nice. And then down here is where he explains that he's awfully lucky he doesn't have a soul, basically. We go back to the Resistance, which I keep calling them the Resistance. Evidently, these are the actual people of the planet. They're not like a Resistance. I mean, they are, but they're not, because there's a rising evil, which is Kologoth, and he's got the kind of the religious war thing going on, and then they are the government in position right now, and they're trying to kind of fight this off. So I guess you would say Kologoth is the Resistance. He's the rebels, or whatever. To be fair, the label of rebel is applied in terms of history and whose point of view from what side you're looking at. So anyways, we go back and we're talking about what it's going to take to stop what's going on here, and then they get a notice that Kologoth is willing to turn over his prisoner if they will just leave. And so Wolverine is like, well, this isn't our problem here. I'm sorry, but they're right. We're going to take our guy and we're going to go. And so Kologoth shows up, but he only has Kitty. And when he releases Kitty, Peter's really happy, but then they start asking about Nightcrawler. And they're told Nightcrawler's dead. He escaped my captivity. He escaped my captivity and he's dead. And they're like, well, I don't believe that for an instant. I want to know where he is. And then things get kind of violent. And then as they're talking, things kind of escalate. And then one of the guys from the government, like one of the soldiers they've been talking to, one of the big giant, like he's like one of the main generals. He's the guy they've had the most association with. He turns on them and points his gun at them and tells them, it's time for you guys to go. Your guy's dead. It's time for you guys to go. I'm with Kologoth here. He's basically like, yeah, I'm on his side, and I would like you guys to get out of here. And then Logan pops his claws, and he's like, all right, if it's go time, I'm ready to go. It's your call, Kitty. You're the one in charge here. Do we go? And she's like, well, I don't have any powers right now. And then she just socks Kologoth hard, man. She's just like, bam, and lays him out. And when she does, everything goes nuts. Like, everything goes nuts at that point. Storm unleashes craziness. Logan pops his claws. People start running. The battle is underway. It has begun. We're not taking crap anymore. Now, this is a little bit of a forced confrontation to me. The X-Men, they're here, they're going to do heroic stuff, but really, they don't necessarily belong here. It's a good thing that they're here because of some things that are going to be taking place, but really, they didn't belong here. This was not their battle. They were drug into this. And maybe for the sake of my people, I might have just left. But they know that Nightcrawler's still alive somewhere. They just know it. It's all just an idea, but they know it. Everything's going down. Like I said, massive battle. This leads into the big action sequence, the customary action sequence of every X-Men comic. And it's pretty awesome. The artwork is extremely awesome. Eric gets hit pretty hard. He pulls off his shirt. He reveals that he's got a bunch of new tattoos. He starts shooting optic blasts. Things are going down everywhere. Storm takes out a couple guys, grabs Kologoth, flies him way up into like the sky, and Kologoth reveals that he chose this spot for a very specific reason, that all of his plans are coming to a pin right here. This is the very top of the mountain. He's finally reached his goal, and he calls for this statue that they decided to meet by to wake up. And it does. And that statue is the god that they've all been talking about, the god that they've been talking that they're going to resurrect. Eddie's big, scary, evil god thing. I believe his name is Scythian. And so, bad stuff. Bad stuff. This storyline has been very much an action storyline. So there's not a lot to talk about except for the fact that why are they fighting? Is it right? Something like that. One or two things are introduced here and there that sometimes I could talk about. But for the most part, these reviews are going pretty quick because really this whole event has been throwdown. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's been good. But that's really all it is it's just a massive throwdown, and there's not a lot to say here, except for now you're all caught up with X-Men Gold, and we'll be moving on to 19 later on.